Welcome. This lesson is over percent. So what percentage of the wall was painted? So let's look at this wall a little more closely. Painted must be shaded. Well, this represents the halfway line. So my prediction is actually more than 50% is shaded. So I know it's more than 50% is shaded. So more than half. So let's look at our predictions right here. I'm going to take this out to do some prediction. Well, if I look at this prediction, I know it can't be 64%. Oh, sorry, stop. All right. I know it cannot be 24% or 16% because it has to be more than half is shaded. So now let's find the actual percentage that is painted. I see 5 are painted, 10 are painted, 15, 20 tiles, 24 tiles. Out of 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40 tiles. So I need to build this to 100%. Can 40, is it compatible to 100? Can I scale it up easily? No. I think I'm going to have to simplify this. I can divide by 2. That'd be 12 20th. Now, can 20th be built to 100? Yes, scale factor is times 5, so that is 60, 100, or 60%. So 60% of this picture is shaded. 60% of it is shaded. So let's continue on. The Houston Texans home game record in 2015 was 5 wins, yay, 3 losses. The good old days. What percent of their home games did they win? So they won 5 games out of how many? 8 games. So I want to know what percent is 5/8. Well, I know 8 is building out per 100. So there's 2 ways you can solve this. We can solve it as this way. Can 8 go into 100? Yeah, actually it can go into 100. So how many 8s go into 100? It goes in, 8 goes in 1, 0 times. 8 goes in 1. 8 goes in 10, 1 time. So 10 minus 8 is 2, bring down to 0. I'm going to write out the pattern for 8 right here. 24, 32, 40, 48, and 56. 8 goes in 20, 16, which is 2 times. That's 4. It 0, and it goes in 5 times. So it's times 12.5 times 12.5. So the scale factor is times 12.5. So what is 5 groups of 12.5? 5 groups of 12.5. 5 times 5 is 25. Carry to 2. That's 5 times 2 is 10. Plus 2 is 12. Carry to 1. It's 62.5. And that represents 62.5%. That is, so we know that they won more than half of their games. So we can make a prediction. We knew our answer was going to be more than half. But there's another way you could have done it. Maybe you want to find a number that's more compatible to 100 or percent. So some people, what they do is they divide by 2. They simplify this down to 4. And what's 5 divided by 2? 2.5. So how do you build a 4 to 100? Times 25 times 25. 25 times 2.5 is 62.5. Same answer. So there's several ways you could have solved 5/8 to get 62.5%. So here's a video. Let me get this ready, volume ready.
Shame, 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 shame.
All right, so this is astronaut Mark Lewis. As you can tell, he's in a very compromised position right now. His oxygen level has gone down. So he started carrying 80 pounds of oxygen, which represents 100%. Due to the accident, his tank only held 10% oxygen. I would like you to try to figure out on your own how many pounds of oxygen was Mark carrying. So if you're given a strip diagram or percent bar such as this, and this holds 100% and is carrying 80 pounds, how many pounds of oxygen is he carrying if it's only 10%? So I want you to think about it. How would you solve this? There's several ways you can solve this. So I want you to figure out. And then if you have gotten it, what is 5% of 80 pounds of oxygen? Well, it's time to go over the answer now because you would have had time to try to estimate what you think. There's several ways you could solve this. This is one way you could have solved it. This entire percent bar you see right here represents 100%. If we divide this bar into 10 equal sections, what percent will go in each section? So this represents 100%. That means 10% will go in each section. I should use a more lighter pen. It's very. So we broke this percent, 100% into 10 equal section of 10%. If the entire bar represents 80 pounds, so 80 pounds, I'm going to use a different marker now to show you this. I'll use green. So the entire thing represents 80 pounds. How many pounds of oxygen for every 10%? So if I have 80 pounds of oxygen, can I break it down into the 10 section? So how many oxygen will go in each one? So 80 divided by 10 is 8 pounds. And I'll put OB. Because 10 times 10, 10% times 10 is 100%. 10 groups of 8 pounds is 80 pounds. So, did you say the answer is 8 pounds or 10%? Another way to do it, which we are not going to be learning in this video, we will be learning in the subsequent videos, is this one. This is another way you could do it. Well, we know this represents 10%. What is the relationship between 100% to 10%? Divide by 10. Divide by 10. So 80 divided by 10 is 8 pounds. So 10% represents 8 pounds. Maybe you solved it that way. So now, what is 10% of 80 pounds? It is 8 pounds. So what is 40% of 80? 40%. So 40%. I'm going to get my trusty highlighter and highlight 40% so you can see 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%. So it would be this. So 8, 8, 8, 8, 4 groups of 8, it must be 32 pounds. Now, astronaut Mark was carrying 80 pounds, but you saw what happened. His space mask started leaking and then went down to 5% oxygen. What would that be? So, you know what? I'm going to take away this highlighter that I used previously and show you 5%. So, highlighter, I'll use a different one. So, this represents 5% right here. What can you tell me about 10%? The relationship between 5% and 10%. What do you know about 10% and 5%? Hopefully you say that 5% is half of 10%. So you would divide by 2 or times it by a half. So using a different marker color, I'll use blue. So 5%, if 10% is 8 pounds, 5%, half would be 4 pounds. So let's write that down in here, 4 pounds. So what if you have 65% of oxygen? 65, so highlighter, 65%. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. and 65 is right there. So each 10% represents 8 pounds. So 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8. And then this seems like half of it is 4. So what is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? 6 groups of 8. 6 eighths is 48. Plus 5%, which is 4, will be 52. So this would be 52 pounds. Again, how did I get that? I saw 6 groups of 8 plus 4 makes 52. And then what is 1% of 80 pounds? So looking at here again, so we broke this into 10 sections. What if I had to break this into 100 sections to 1%? Let me use a different marker. I'll use purple. That means I'm going to break this into 100 sections from 100% to 1%. Or the relationship between 100% to 1% is divide by 100. So what is 80 divided by 100? So 100 can go in 80 0 times. Annex a 0, bring it down. 100 go into 800 8 times, so 0 0.8. So what you're going to do, here's one. We're going to be doing this together. And you can be doing some on your own. The entire bar represents 100%. If we divide this bar into 10 equal sections, let's do that right now. Divide this into 10 equal sections. What percent will go in each section? So if this represents 100%, then it'll be 10% in each section. So 10% goes in each section. So label your percent bar to show 10% each section. Done. If the entire bar represents $12.50, let's take out a different marker. What dollar amount goes for every 10%? So here's 12.50. I need to divide them into 10 sections. So 12.50 divided by 10. 10 goes in 12 one time. 2, bring that to 5. 10 goes in 25 two times. 10 goes in 50 5 times. So $1.25 represent every 10% represents $1.25. So the first question is, what is 10% of $12.50? $1.25. Paul tipped his waiter 20% of a restaurant bill of $12.50. How much did he tip? So let me highlight this so you can see what it is. He gave the waiter 20% of $12.50. So that's this part. 125, 125 is 250. So he gave the waiter $2.50, or two groups of $1.25, which is 250. Mona bought a shirt for $12.50 and she saved 60%. How much money did she save? So she saved 60%. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. But this is how much money she saved. So every 10% you save $1.25. So 6 groups of 250 equals what? Wait, stop. 6 groups of $1.25. My bad. So let's erase this. 6 groups of $1.25 is what? So $1.25 times 6. 6 times 5 is 30, carry to 3. 6 times 2 is 12, plus 3 is 15, carry to 1. $7.50. So how much money did she save? She saved $7.50. So the last two items are you're going to be answering questions about cell phone bill. This entire percent bar represents 100%. If the entire bar represents $120 and the original price of a cell phone, the original price of a cell phone, the cell phone is on sale for 25% off. Use the percent bar to help you determine how much money you will save. So what would be the saving is? So many ways to do this. So this represents 100%. And the cell phone is on sale for 25%. Do you know what fractional part is 25%? 25% is right here. Isn't that 1/4? So if this whole bar represents $120, so each section represents 25%. Can I break this $120 into 4 equal sections? What is 120 divided by 4? It goes in 3 times, so it's $30. And let's see if this makes sense. What is 50%, 25%, 50%, or half of 120? 60. Hey, it does work. So what is the saving? So you save 25% or $30. That's one way you could have done it. In our next couple of videos, we're going to show it a little different way. I bet you someone in the class will do it this way, and I'm okay with this. What's the relationship between 100% to 25%? Divided by 4, because that's why you broke it into 4 equal sections. So 120 divided by 4, or a fourth of it, is $30. In our last example, the entire bar represents 100%. If the entire bar represents $120, the original price of a cell phone, the cell phone is on sale for 20% off. So 20% off. Use the percent bar to help you determine how much you will save. So how many 20% go into 100%? 5 groups. So can I split the $120 into 5 equal sections? Goes in 2 times, 4 times. So every 20% is $24. So the saving is $24. Another way you could have done it, maybe I bet you'll have someone who do it this way. How do you break down 100%? What's the relationship between 100% to 20%? Divide by 5. That's why it's 20% is a fifth. So 120 divided by 5 is $24. I may actually have someone who does it this way, and I'm perfectly good with this. You split this into 10 equal groups. So 100%, 120. So each represent 10%. 10%. So if I split this into 10 equal groups, 10%, what's $120 split into 10 equal groups? That'd be $12. $12. So that'd be $24. So many ways to solve this. We will be, in a subsequent video, we'll be using this more about the relationship that you see up here, and then we're going to be learning something called percent proportion to solve this.